from the College Fix, a fantastic website covering all things college campus. Matt Lamb, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I got to tell you, I saw this story and then I saw the follow-up story that came out. I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but I'll just let you tell my audience what exactly is happening at Auburn University.
Sure. So there is a group chat of Auburn students, but it also involves students at other universities. And they basically have it's a group chat, but they also have a document they shared that's over, I think, 250 different names that they use to call white people. Now, these names aren't things like my best friend or anything like this. It's terms like yeast maggot, mutated vermin, snow roaches, a lot of just really disgusting
Matt, my
names.
favorite one that actually made me laugh was Walking Ranch. That one, okay, I was like, that's funny. I like that one being called Walking Ranch, but some of them are really dehumanizing.
Yeah, absolutely. So the university said it's looking into it. It's not really clear what they'll be able to do because there probably are some free speech arguments to be made. But of course, it is interesting in Black History Month with all the talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, and all that these students are, using very offensive language for their white peers, their fellow classmates.
So how did you guys become aware of this chat? I'm assuming it's a chat that is kind of a closed chat with people in it.
So the conservative group Turning Point USA, where I actually used to work a few years ago, they broke the story and they had a whistleblower or one of their students knew someone in this group or something like that. And somehow, anyways, he got access to this document. And then from there, our student reporters, from there, I dug into it further, contacted the university, and then there was other publications that covered it as well. And that sort of brought it to the national media, the forefront of basically expose what was going on.
So how has Auburn responded? That's the question.
So the spokeswoman, her name is Jennifer Adams, told the College Fix that the university's Office of Affirmative Action and Equal Employment is looking into it. And she was the one that told us that it was actually multiple universities. This is not an official Auburn University channel, of course, but it's just the same as any student group can start, group chat on GroupMe or text message or WhatsApp or whatever it is. These are still Auburn students. And so I think they're looking into it. There's no further update as of, this article came out last week, but I certainly have it on my list to, follow up and see if there's any sort of resolution, because I'm guessing the school will kind of quietly announce or not even say anything about any investigation or any result.
Well, we do know that the one part of the follow-up is that there was an editorial in Auburn's newspaper where whoever wrote the editorial was like, what's the big deal? I mean, come on, this doesn't make up for years of systemic racism. So they seem to be endorsing this as a way to, to make things even. That's kind of how it came across to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So my colleague Dave Huber does have an article up from a few days ago, and this is actually worth noting. This is the editorial board for the Auburn Plainsman, which is the student newspaper. So this is not one student. These are the editors that run the campus newspaper that make decisions about what stories get published, angles. I'm an editor, so I understand what a news editor does, obviously. And their argument is basically, so what? Like you said, so what if there's racist names? Here's all these other examples of racism, which is really a terrible way to look at it. We can look at different situations and say, yes, what happened 60 years ago, let's say, is terrible, and that should not have happened. And also, this is also terrible and also should not have happened. It's not like there's going to be one thing that's the most racist thing and then everything else doesn't matter.
Right. Well, for me, I'd like to just ask the follow-up question of especially the people who wrote the editorial, and that is, how does this move us to a place of racial harmony? How does the existence of this list and your support of this list move us to a truly post-racial society? Because I thought that was the goal for a very long time. But if we're talking about revenge, that's a different goal. And that seems to be what Auburn University's editorial board puts forward is, hey, you know what? It's just making up for all the bad stuff. And I'd love to have someone from Auburn answer that question. Like, how does this move us forward?
Absolutely. I think the student editor should, should answer that, or at least, answer if that's ultimately their goal. Is the goal to, instead of white people being in control or whatever, white supremacy, to have black supremacy? Or is it, like you said, to sort of bring everyone together and we move forward and we treat each other as, human beings who are deserving of equal respect and dignity, which should really be the ultimate goal.
Or exactly. And a second follow-up question is, okay, how many bad names do we have to allow before we're done? Like, what do we do there? And the fact that if you question this, it's now being like, oh, look at you, you sensitive white person. No, these are legitimate questions about how this makes society better. And if it doesn't, then we should all be talking about, first of all, why they feel the need to gather together and make up fun names. If it's all in good fun, that's fine. But some of the names are not all in good fun. While I will accept Walking Ranch as a funny pejorative for white people, when we start dehumanizing people and calling them things like decomposing form of humanity, or rally of unshaved beast, or mutated vermin, or mole rats, or diseased albino monster, then we're getting into names that tend to make people less than human, and that's not okay. That's when bad things start to happen.
Absolutely. There's another one there, not meant to exist. Some of these, some of them are just not even, one is just air or blank paper. Some of them are not even creative, but some of them are obviously also very dehumanizing. And I do think, I think the students, I think it's a great opportunity to bring together the students in the group chat and perhaps some professors and, perhaps white students on campus that now feel uncomfortable. And, perhaps this could actually be used as a teaching moment, not to necessarily punish anyone, but, maybe we can kind of bring the rhetoric down a little bit on campus.
Well, Matt, I appreciate that, but I have a hard time believing that if this was a group of white frat boys who had a group chat throwing the N-word and other pejoratives around for black people, I think they'd be bounced out of the university in half an hour. My producer said an hour, but I think that's too long.
Right. But yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think if it was the other way, it would definitely, the punishment would definitely be
severe.
Swifter.
Yep. TheCollegeFix.com is the website. They cover everything all over the country when it comes to outrageous things happening on college campuses. First of all, your website often, Matt, makes my head explode because your website is ground zero for the kind of nonsense, wokeness, and just otherwise idiocy that is going to be infesting our major corporations as college kids graduate and take it with them. So I appreciate what you do, even though sometimes I have to duct tape my head before I go to thecollegefix.com.
Thank you. Yeah, that's why we're not allowed to write satire, because the truth is so bad that if we wrote satire, you get confused. I mean, we have one up today about a Princeton lecture on the erotic relationships between blackness, soil, and dead matter, composting matter.
Yeah.
So
yeah. There you go.
Pretty bad.
Matt Lamb, I appreciate your time today. We'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, thanks for having me.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that.